And welcome to On the Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Ryan Wheless and Peter Lott of Allied Wealth. Ryan, how are you today?
Cynthia, I'm doing so well. It's great to be here with you again.
It's great to see you again. Peter, how are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you.
Great. It's so good to have you both in the office, or the studio, I should say, because you've been so busy in the office. Yeah. Obviously, seeing one client after the next, people are calling in, they're questioning how they plan for retirement and why that's so very important. So today's topic I would love to talk to you about would be just some of the 6 elements that you use to help someone come up with a well-constructed retirement plan. Ryan, let me start with you. What's number 1?
So, you know, we talk so much about planning on the show, and so many people don't understand the elements of a written comprehensive financial plan, and they're just important to have all of these things in your plan. And folks, I've got news for you at home. You know, your statement that comes in the mail, that's not a financial plan, all right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot more to it. So the first part of any good financial plan is a risk tolerance questionnaire, all right? But that risk tolerance questionnaire tells me as an advisor the amount of risk mentally you're willing to take. All right.
Okay.
So that kind of helps me match what portfolio to put you in. But we take it a step deeper at Allied Wealth because it's not just about risk tolerance. Risk tolerance is what you think you can lose. All right. We go to the next level and talk about risk capacity.
Okay.
Risk capacity is what you can afford to lose in a down market and still not have to change your lifestyle. And so we help you determine what your risk capacity is, and we actually can forecast our portfolio models based on something we've talked about in the past, standard deviation, right, and risk measurements, and we can forecast what those models will do so that that downside risk capacity number is hopefully never met.
Okay.
And so many folks don't understand that it's so much more than just risk tolerance. We've got to look at risk capacity. That is, if a market crashes, what can you afford to lose and still stay retired and not have to go back to work?
And that's keeping income. You know, we want that 6 elements, one of those is income, and providing that income over the next 25 to 30 years without a paycheck, but doing so to where we can absorb the market volatility inside of that plan to where you can go on vacation and not worry about a war in another country or inflation or things like that, because it's already been forecasted out. We've already looked at this and said, well, if all these things happen and you're okay, well then that's a good place to start.
And Cynthia, it's just like we roll the airplane down the runway. How often are we planning for one of the engines to fail?
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yep.
Not one time, not sometimes, every time. And we build the financial flight plan the exact same way. So Pete brought up the second one, which is the investment plan. And the investment plan is really important because the investment plan should absolutely match your risk tolerance and, more importantly, your risk capacity. And an investment plan is dynamic. Sometimes it may change if a scenario changes, or maybe you inherited some money from your mom or dad or from somebody else. That can change because now you've got more money in this scenario. We can take less risk than we were taking. Maybe that creates some tax issues. We want to do some more tax efficient investing. So that investment plan can change. But most importantly, it's one of these things where it's got to match your risk tolerance and your risk capacity. Super important.
Okay. Are a lot of people unaware of how much risk they're taking until they come into the office, Pete?
I think they're unaware until they see it happen in their statement.
Really?
And then their phone starts going off the hook because they're calling saying, well, my advisor didn't tell me I could lose 25, 30% or 10% or whatever it is. They didn't tell me I could do that. And I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
So I see that just about every day, that most people don't really know what lurks inside their portfolio, and we can help show them that. You know, I've had a client that called in the other day. We were just kind of going through the get to know you, and he said, Pete, look, I don't want to waste your time. And I was like, oh, thanks, because I don't want to waste my time either.
Yeah. I
just want to talk about my portfolio. What am I doing? So I started putting in our software and I started building it out, and I showed him that really your average rate of return is going to be pretty low with this vehicle, but the even bigger problem is it's got quite a bit of risk involved with it. So how did this thing perform in 2008? How did it perform with interest rate hikes? How does it perform with inflation? We can forecast all that.
The COVID crash.
How did with the COVID
Absolutely.
crash? How does it perform? And you just kind of see like their eyes light up, think, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And you can show them that, and if I can build a tool, and normally I can beat what they're doing through making changes from the portfolio. and we can help them get them on a better path.
And this guy was going with a big name firm, big box retail,
Big box firm.
because he just felt that that's what you do. It's a prestigious firm. They've got offices all over the country, and they've been around for years and years and years. And, Pete's question to him was, hey, man, just because their statement was, hey, just because they're big doesn't mean they're good.
Yeah.
Right? And so when Pete took a deep dive in this guy's offered portfolio, and thank God we caught it before he actually invested his money into it, the return looked decent to him. It matched what his goals were return-wise. But again, this goes back to the advisor who was talking to never talked about the potential downside risk in the measurement of standard deviation of the risk of the portfolio. And when this guy learned what this portfolio could do in a down market, he was real quick, backed away, and was like, Pete, I'm so glad I found you because I could have made a serious mistake here.
And we also determined that the fees inside that portfolio were twice what he would pay with us.
Really?
He had the advisor was charging a fee. The funds that he was going to invest into were very expensive funds that had fees over 1%. And I think his all-in cost was going to be like 2 to 2.5% for to have someone manage his portfolio. And that's a lot of money when you're talking about spanning this out for 30 years. You're paying 1% more. If the wife finds out about that and realizes you've paid all this money to a financial advisor, you missed out on a lot of vacations, kitchen remodels, all the things she wants to do.
Put a dollar context, Pete. This guy had $1 million. So if he's paying 2.5% a year in fees, do the math on that. That's $25,000 a year in fees. That is a lot of money to pay in fees. And just one of these things, the advisor he was working with was in a big box retail strip center, big name company out there. He's a broker. He's not a financial advisor or financial planner like we are at Allied Wealth. He's a commission-based advisor. We're fee-based advisors. He's not a fiduciary. We're fiduciaries required to put the client's pocketbook ahead of our own. And we're just so grateful he got in contact with us, called us off the show, and got in contact with us, and we were able to save him a lot of money over the next 30 years and put him in a plan that if the market crashes, which it's going to, I can promise you, it's going to crash 3 or 4 more times in the next 30 years.
Sure.
He's going to be in a situation to where he doesn't get his head lopped off and can stay retired and doesn't have to go back to work.
Ryan, let's talk a little bit about why it's so important to work with a fiduciary always, but specifically more so when you're entering the retirement years.
It's really simple. So, fiduciary advising has really come about since about 2005, there's been a big push to become what's called a registered investment advisory firm or an investment advisor representative. And the old way it's been done is brokerage worlds, where brokers sell mutual funds and variable annuities for commissions. And that's their business model. And all they do is sell products. What's different is money managers are held to fiduciary standards. And so as a money manager or an RIA or an IAR, you have a Series 65 securities license, and under that licensure, your regulating body requires you to be a fiduciary. And folks, all that means at home is that at Allied Wealth, we are required to put your pocketbook ahead of our own pocketbook. So in this scenario that Pete's talking about, this guy had no idea what fees he's going to pay. With us, he signs a fee agreement that says right here is your fee. You know exactly what it is. You know what you're paying. You know what the internal expense ratio of our ETFs are. And ours, by the way, are only about 0.25% versus 1.25% what this guy was paying. And so you know all that stuff. And we are required to be as transparent as we possibly can be. There can't be any backdoor deals. There can't be any, this guy's coming in to make us sell these mutual funds because we get all this extra money. It doesn't work like that in our business.
Ryan, I know that you and Pete have a very special offer to present to the viewers at home. Let's talk about what that is before we open the phone lines for the very first time.
Absolutely. So, folks, we're offering a financial flight plan, and really we're talking about it right now, what the 6 elements of the financial flight plan are. And I'm not going to go through them all yet because I don't want to give away the rest of the show.
Right.
But that's what we're talking about. And so really we talk about the benefits of it, right? The benefits are with the financial flight plan, you can go out into retirement and spend money with confidence because you've got an investment plan that even though the guy on the 9 o'clock news is telling you the world's going to end and you're getting fearful because you're hearing about wars in other countries and oil prices going up and inflation going crazy, you know your plan, you know your investment portfolio and how it works and how it's going to help mitigate downside risk and maximize return at every opportunity that it can. We're also going to help you look at maximizing your Social Security income, helping you take your lump sum pension benefits, you're taking a payout. I mean, there's so much that we do for you and so much that goes into this plan. But if you don't take advantage of it, we can't help you, folks. And it's so easy to take advantage of. All you got to do is call the number on the screen. It's 844-944-7555. Click the QR code. Again, call 844-944-7555. Check us out at onthemoneytv.com. And I'll tell you, Pete and I are the exact same dudes in the office as we are right here on TV. We're no different. We have a lot of fun. We keep it light. We make it fun. And we'd love to have you come in and take advantage of the offer.
Ryan, thank you so much. Pete, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone number to call is on your screen, and that number is 844-944-7555. We know you have a lot of questions about how to plan your perfect retirement. Ryan and Pete have the answers for you. Again, the show that we're talking about today right now is the 6 elements of holistic retirement planning. We have several more to get through, so stay tuned. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to On the Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Ryan Wheless and Peter Lott of Allied Wealth. Today's show is amazing. I love this one. 6 elements of a holistic, comprehensive retirement plan. So far, we've gotten through the top 2, of course, but now let's go into number 3. Income and spending plan. Pete, why is that important to have an income and spending plan?
Well, we got to know how much we can spend, right? If you don't know that, then it makes it kind of hard to retire. But what that does is it gives us the ability to just forecast out the kind of money that your retirement, your investments can earn over time.
Okay.
And what we don't want to do is put you in a scenario where we're just tracking down and we're running out of money, right, at some point. That's not going to be good for retirement. So we have a lot of tools that we use to kind of combine all those together to build you a retirement plan that, like I've said before, it can withstand the market volatility. Get you through point A to point B, be on vacation, not have to worry about what's going on in the world, and tying it to your retirement, but just having a stress-free retirement.
So important.
Indeed.
I have to ask you, Ryan, how do you help establish someone's spending plan? Don't want to say budget, because I don't like that word.
We don't, and I don't like that word either. It's like,
plan.
I'm going to put you on a budget.
Yeah,
I'm going to put you on a diet. I'm going to put you in a box. You know.
Let's go with eeating plan.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on a seafood diet. I see food and eat it, right? So the way we do it is I'll start with this. So a lot of people don't take into account their 401k contributions. So here's an example. Let's just say, and these are arbitrary numbers, I'm throwing them out here, a husband and wife team makes $150,000 a year. And between the two of them, they're putting, I don't know, let's say $30,000 a year into a 401k. Actually, let's make it $50,000. Make it real easy, all right? Okay. So if they're putting a combined $50,000 a year into a 401k, when they retire, what do they stop doing? Putting money in the 401k. So they don't need the same amount of money they're making right now to retire on. They actually need $100,000 because they're putting $50,000 a year away in the 401k plan. They stop doing that when they retire. And so now their actual net income need in retirement is $100,000. Yeah. Let's say they've got $1.5 million. So what we do is we look at, okay, let's look at your risk tolerance, your risk capacity, going with step 1, right? And let's match a portfolio to that risk tolerance and that risk capacity. And then let's go to work and see how much money we can get out of your $1.5 million plan or accounts, right? And we do that by looking at the probability of success. And so what I'm trying to do is get you to an 85% chance of success in retirement.
Okay.
So let's say that their goal is $120,000 a year in income in retirement. Well, that might bring their probability of success down to 70%, for instance. Okay, we know we can't take 120 because that's below our comfort threshold of 85%. So say let's ratchet it down to 110. And that might bring it up to 75%. Now let's ratchet it down to 100. And ding, 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 we get to 85%, which is exactly where we need to be. And so what's cool about that is these folks thought they needed $150,000 a year in income, but they didn't. They only need $100,000 a year in income. All right. And so the portfolio can produce the income they need and still have a long-term success rate of 85%, and they're home free.
Wow.
You know, and think about the confidence that they have now to be able to go out into their golden years and spend money in retirement, and with even though the stock market may be down, because they've got their risk capacity plan. They know if their portfolio, if the market crashes, what their portfolio is going to behave like.
Absolutely. So again, Pete, that comes down to just basic peace of mind. People can just sleep well at night knowing that.
Yeah, you know, when COVID was at its height and the market was down 30%, I had clients call me, Pete, the market's down 30%. Where am I at? Well, you're down about 4.5 total altogether.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, much better.
Good.
I'm going back on vacation. I'm sorry I bugged you. Thank you. Thank you. We're gone. So that's what it is getting away from all that market volatility, bringing it down to what's a comfortable level, and being able to spend those years in retirement and spend that money that you've worked so hard for. Because the idea of you've been this saver your whole life, and now you've got to flip that switch of mentality and say, now I'm not getting a paycheck, I've got to spend this big nest egg that I've got.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to make that change, but you need some confidence in that. And that's what that plan does, is it gives the confidence in that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pete. Ryan, I want to ask you about this next one. This is a big nut to crack. Tax planning. Why is that important in a holistic retirement plan?
Wow, how much time you got?
Right, I know. I'm like, oh, that's a big one.
We can go on this on this topic for days. You know, Cynthia, a lot of people think that health care will be one of their biggest expenses in retirement, and it's not true. Taxes are going to be your biggest expense in retirement. And I was doing some basic math here before the show, and you know, I said $120,000 a year in income over a 30-year period could produce a tax liability north of $700,000.
Wow.
All right, so that's twice what Fidelity says you could expect to spend in retirement on health care. All right, so that's a big number, and so many people overlook taxation. And what we've got to do is we talk about the retirement red zone. Is we've got to look at your retirement accounts and look at the amount of money you have inside of retirement accounts, the amount of money you have outside retirement accounts, and the amount of money you have in banks. So we got bank money, outside retirement account money, and inside retirement account money. And we want to make sure that those dollars are proportionate so that every dollar you have is not inside of an IRA or a 401k account, because if it is, every dollar you take out is taxable. And then what happens, Cynthia, is your money will grow over time in retirement. And when you get to age 72, Uncle Sam says, hey, you put all this money into these accounts for all these years. I want you to pay some tax. And that comes at 72. And those are what are called required mandatory distributions. And I have seen folks that have a need of about $70,000 a year from their portfolio start being forced to take out $250,000 a year because of RMDs.
Wow.
And their required mandatory distributions are RMDs, by the way, folks. And their tax liability goes through the roof. And it's mind-boggling the number of advisors out there that don't take time to do proper tax planning and help these clients get rid of these tax-infested IRA accounts, because they're going to be a time bomb when they hit age 72.
Sure.
Two is a legacy benefit. You know, if you're wanting to leave money behind and you leave an IRA behind to a beneficiary, well, that's got to be liquidated over 10 years. So being tax efficient in your a little bit younger years and putting funds or putting some of those investments to work in a tax efficient vehicle, that's going to help the kids a lot better than just handing them an IRA, because that money is going to be taxed at their highest tax bracket.
And they have 10 years to take it out.
So if they're doing well and making a couple $100,000 a year, which we see that a lot, that money's now taxed at a 40% clip, and that's all they had from their parents in some cases, and they're having to pay a lot of it to the IRS.
Wow, unbelievable. Well, Ryan, I know that you and Pete have a very special offer to present to the viewers at home. Let's talk about what that is again before we reopen the phone line.
Well, Cynthia, we're offering the financial flight plan today, folks. And again, we're talking about the 6 elements of any good plan. Thus far, we've covered your risk capacity, and I showed you how to blend risk capacity into an investment plan that meets your risk capacity needs and why that's so important. The next thing we've got into is your overall income plan and spending plan, and how to build a spending plan that allows you to go out into the world and spend money in retirement in confidence, even though the stock market may be down. And then we just touched on taxation, and I believe taxation or taxes are going to be your biggest expense in retirement. So if any of that resonates with you, please pick up the phone and take advantage of the financial flight plan. It's an interactive program. We have to work with you to build this thing out for you, and it's custom tailored to your needs. To get it so simple, all you have to do is call the number. It's 844-944-7555. Again, 844-944-7555. Tell the folks that answer the phone you want the flight plan. Click the QR code and check us out at onthemoney.com. And Cynthia, coming up during the break, we've got a very powerful moving commercial from the Mighty Oaks Warrior Program. There are 20 soldiers that take their lives on the U.S. soil a day here in the United States as a direct result of post-traumatic stress disorder. The Mighty Oaks Warrior Program is the only faith-based program approved by the military to help these soldiers get back on the right track and move on down the line, because after all, they put it all on the line for the freedoms that we enjoy every day. So please enjoy this powerful moving message.
Ryan, thank you so much. Pete, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone number to call is on your screen. That number is 844-944-7555. We'll be right back after this very touching and very important video message. Stay tuned.
Many of our veterans feel they need to fight their battles alone. This self-isolation has led to the staggering statistic of more than 20 veterans taking their lives every day. The mission of Mighty Oaks is to eradicate the veteran suicide epidemic and help our warriors change their legacies. We've been able to help over 4,000 veterans and first responders by equipping them with the tools they need to live the lives they were created to live. Our faith-based, peer-to-peer approach has one of the highest success rates of any program available today, offering hope and understanding to those who need it most. By aligning their lives to biblical principles, these men and women are able to lead their families, their communities, and our nation. It's your generosity that can make a difference in the lives of the men and women who have fought for our country and our freedoms. Now that they're home, don't let them fight alone. Learn more at mightyoaksprograms.org.
And welcome back to On the Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Ryan Wheless and Peter Lott of Allied Wealth. Gentlemen, that's a very touching, a very special video, so thank you so much for letting us play that again. And obviously, the Mighty Oaks Warrior Program, very near and dear to the hearts at Allied Wealth.
Absolutely it is, and it's our pleasure to do so.
Thank you so much. Pete, I want to start with you a little bit. We're going to continue on that path of the holistic retirement plan. Let's tackle the next one, the health care plan. Why is that important?
That is a big one, Cynthia. And the reason why that's so big is that's oftentimes a wild card inside someone's retirement plan, especially if they're going to retire before 65, before the age they can apply for Medicare. And when I'm talking to someone that's a little bit younger, maybe in their late 50s, early 60s, and they say, I want to retire now. Okay, that's great. Well, what do you have? What can we do? My first question is, well, what can we do for health care?
Yeah.
Because if that's $1,500 a month, plus or minus, that's a lot of money to add into it. So we want to take care of that part first and make sure that we're planning for that in the front years. Sometimes the front years we want to take more income so we can take care of that health care need. We've also got Medicare there. We have specialists in the office that can help with that. But there's other ways that you can do health care as well. So you've got some people have the ability to go to their employer has some plans where they can still be on their health care plan until 65. We've got plans that the marketplace, you can go and get insurance possibly. So there's different ways.
You could reduce your income too in the front years of retirement. If you retire at 60 and don't have health care portable from your employer, you can go to the ACA and the marketplace and get a subsidy.
You can,
as long as your income is low enough. But we talked about composition of accounts, right?
Absolutely.
If all your money's IRA money and it's all going on as taxable income, well, that's what that number is based on, that subsidy number.
Yep.
So if you've got money that's outside of retirement accounts that you can draw from during those couple of years, you might be able to get that subsidy and help mitigate the cost of health care from age 60 to 65 until you qualify for Medicare.
Wow, absolutely. All these things are so important, and I'm so thankful that you're sharing this information with the viewers at home. Ryan, another one I want to jump into is legacy and estate plan. Why is that important?
Cynthia, this is so big. We talked about this on an earlier show, and this still resonates with me to this day. It is such an important thing to properly plan your estate. And what I mean is that you have got to make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed. And why do I say that? We have a couple that was married. The husband married a wife for 7 years, divorced her, remarried, married to the next gal for like 30 years. And he worked the same job the entire time. So he's been with this company the whole time, has built up a massive 401k and a massive pension. Well, they started to get wealthy and were like, hey, I was told I need a trust and an estate plan. So they went and saw an estate planning attorney with their financial advisor involved, and they built a trust, and they got a will done and got their advanced directives done and all that stuff, and they were set, all right? Well, the husband has passed away, and his money's still in the 401k at work and still in the pension plan. So we're looking, the wife has called the show and has come in to see us, and we're looking at all this stuff, and I'm looking at their trust and her will, and I'm saying, okay, there's one more piece of this pie. And she said, what do you mean? I said, I want to know what the beneficiary forms say at the 401k where this gentleman worked, and what the beneficiary form says on the pension plan where this gentleman worked. And she said, well, that doesn't matter. I'm like, it absolutely does matter. And unfortunately, we have discovered that guess whose name was on that beneficiary form?
Wow, the ex-wife?
The ex-wife.
Oh, no.
And there was a contentious relationship there. It's none of my business. I don't know what happened. But this lady's in very dire straits because they've got some money in the banks, not a huge amount of money, not anywhere near what they've got in the retirement accounts. And she's looking at being in a situation to where she's going to have to take, live off the money they've got in the bank and the Social Security check, because that's what she's going to have when she was set to have a very good retirement. Hopefully we can work with the pension plan and try to figure out a way for her to at least get that money. But right now it looks like the ex-wife is going to get the 401k funds because they did not take time to make sure the estate plan was complete and the beneficiary forms were updated at the custodian for the 401k and the pension plan. And folks, that is the trump card. It does not matter what's in your trust. It doesn't matter what's in your will. What are on those beneficiary designation forms will trump anything else, and it's the most important thing as part of any written comprehensive estate plan.
Wow. So all of these things need to be carefully factored in. I'm going to recap really quickly. Risk tolerance, number one. Investment planning is number two. Income and spending plan, tax plan, health care, and legacy and estate. All of these create the 6 elements, if you will.
That's it. That's the financial flight plan, Cynthia.
It's perfect. I love it. Well, Ryan, I know we only have a minute left of the show. Any final words of wisdom you'd like to say?
Absolutely, folks. So you've learned a lot today about the 6 elements that should make up a written comprehensive financial plan. We call it the financial flight plan at the office because we build into our planning system redundancies just like we do when we put an airplane in the sky. I know without a doubt I'm planning every single time for one of those engines to fail in that airplane. I'm planning to make sure that I can get that airplane back safely on the ground at the airport I took off from, or go to my alternate airport if I need to do that. And that's all planning that's done right there in the cockpit before we ever go down the road or the runway. So folks, that's what we're offering you. You have the ability to engage a plan at that level, and it's so easy to get. All you've got to do is call 844-944-7555. Again, 844-944-7555. Check us out at allthemoney.com and click the QR code on the bottom of the screen as well.
Ryan, thank you so much. Pete, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, thank you for spending time with us. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. See you next week.